Hello guys, welcome to today's class. So today we'll be looking at partial derivative but using first principle to solve this. So the first question say if f of x y is equals to x square y. Now find the f dx and the f dy. So now, if you use the normal formula method, this is just easy. You just use normal formula method. But now, if you are asked to use first principle to solve this, I want to show you how to use step by step and how to use first principle method to solve a partial derivative. Now, for x, to look for the partial derivative of x using first principle method. So now, solution. So now, according to the first way, normal differentiation, how to solve first principle normal differentiation, is just still the same thing. The same method you apply at the normal differentiation, that's the same method you apply here. So now we say f x. We add plus change in x in wherever we see what x. So there's x here. You say plus change in x y equal to x plus change in x square y. So you add plus change in x wherever you see what x. Now if we expand this, using binomial normal expansion. You expand this. This is still the same thing as x plus change in x plus change in x y. Now if we expand, multiply this by this, you have x square plus x 2x change in x plus change in x square, then the y is outside the bracket. So now we can use this y to multiply what? Everything inside the bracket. So we have f of x plus change in x y equal to y times x squared gives you what? X square y plus y times 2x change in x, 2x change in x y plus y times change in x square. You have change in x square y. Now the next thing to do is to minus both sides by what is given. This is what is given, so you minus it from what? Both sides. So you have, if we say minus both sides by what is given, so now we have fx plus change in x y minus f of x y equal to x square y plus 2x change in xy plus change in x square y minus x square y. So now this one can cancel out what? This one. X square minus x square y can cancel out x square y. So you are left with f of x plus change in x y minus f of x minus f of xy equal to 2x change in y plus change in x square y. So now the next thing to do is to divide both sides by what? Change in x. Divide both sides by what? Change in x. So you have f of, okay, say divide through by changing what? X. So we have f of x plus change in x y minus f of x y divided by change in what? X. Divided by change in x equal to 2x change in y, 2x change in xy, this xy, change in xy plus change in x square y divided by what? Change in x. Now change in x can cancel here. We are left with what? Change in xy. And change in x cancel. So we are left with change in xy. So we have f of x plus change in x y minus f of x y over change in x xy. So now the next thing to do is to take limit. Take limit when change in x tends to what? 0. Change in x tends to 0. So we say lim change in x tends to what? 0. Tends to 0, f of x plus change in xy minus f of x y over change in what? X equal to 2xy plus, where you see change in x, you put what? 0. 0y. So now this is what? 0. So our answer is what? 2 what? Xy. This method. Now we are asked to what? Find, not only to find this, to find the derivative of x, we also have to find what? Derivative of y. If what? F of xy is equals to x square y. So now you can pause this video and attempt it on your own. So now let's attempt the second question. So now, following the method, the way we solve this, you can use the same method to solve the second question. So we have f of x plus, so wherever you see y, you put what? You put change in y. Wherever you see y, you put change in y. So we have f of x comma y plus change in y equal to x square y plus what? Change in y. So we have f x y plus change in y equal to, now we can use this to multiply everything here. We have x square y plus x square change in what? Y. Now the next thing is to minus both sides by what is given. So we have f of xy plus change in y minus f of xy equals to x square y plus x square change in y minus x square y. So now this can cancel out this. We are left with f of x y plus change in y minus f of x y equal to x square change in y. So now we can divide both sides by what? Change in y. Dividing both sides by change in y. We are left with f of xy plus change in y minus f of xy over change in y equal to x square change in y over what? Change in y. So this can cancel out this. And we are left with, so there is no need of taking the limit. So our answer is f of xy plus change in y minus f of xy over change in y is equal to what? X squared. So this is our answer. So this is how to solve partial derivative using what? First principle method. First principle method. So in our next class, I'll still solve another question, bit complex, using what? First principle method to solve partial derivative. So please like, share, and subscribe. See you in our next class.